Hey, Mystic Michaela, spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today we are talking about narcissists, toxic people, and how they are generally triggered by the pandemic and how it has influenced their ability to manipulate situations to make it about themselves. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Well, if the listeners are still with us
I know.
after last week's episode on astral sex, that's fantastic.
This is a little more PG today.
Yes, we had so many, and by the way, we had so many comments about the episode, and believe it or not, there was a lot of people that were in the closet, the astral sex in the closet, so to say, and it was higher than the 46%.
I think so.
So it was probably over 50%.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm now included in that.
You are.
But, before we get into your flying monkeys and narcissism and empaths and all that jazz.
Yeah.
We get a lot of questions on the Mystic Michaela spiritual family about why is everyone kind of the same colors?
Yes.
So, like, everyone, when they get their aura reading, or not everyone, but most of the people, when they get their aura reading or they get their aura photography photo back, they come out like blue and purple.
Right.
They come out indigo and purple. Indigo, could you be, I don't think you'd be indigo blue, right?
Sometimes.
But a lot of those empathic colors. Mm-hmm. And you always say, it's very rare to be indigo.
Yes.
But on the group, everyone seems to be indigo.
It's true.
Yeah. And I think it is rare, but it's not rare for the group.
Right. Well, what's funny is I just did I did something really cool. I presented for the Google Summit via like a Google Meet class where I guess, what was it? Like they had a day of workshopping.
They had a week. It was like a week.
It was a whole week of workshops. And I was like one of the workshops. And I did it 2 separate times. So I had 2 separate groups. And let me tell you, blue purples, there was like maybe 1 or 2 in each group. Everyone. So that's what I mean. Like, and there was 1 indigo in the whole day. I only had 1 indigo person.
Wow.
And the thing is like when I present to like the Mystic Michaela spiritual family or present to people who are more into this stuff, that's when all the indigos, the purples, the blues, the turquoises, that's when they come out.
Right.
But at this conference, it was a lot of yellows, and I have a lot of yellows too, but I have like yellow blue or yellow indigo or yellow purple. These people were a lot different, like a ton of green women. Mm-hmm. Of course, green guys. There were like interesting green yellow women who you could tell, which they had no idea do you think they knew what I was talking about? Because I'm like, society tried to make you yellow, but you're green, but you're kind of walking in between those 2 colors.
Yeah.
Like you guys understand what I'm talking about when I say that. But like you could tell they were like, okay. So with a ton of green people, red, a lot of red women, a lot of red blue women were working there. There were empath colors. There were some yellow purples. There were some, what else? There were a lot of green blue women.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a different vibe. So you could tell like in the group, I was talking and you can just see their faces, in the little thumbnails, and the people that get it were like, whoa. Like you could tell, and those were the purple blue people, and the 1 indigo wrote me after, thank you so much for seeing me. They're out there. It's just usually if you're an indigo, you're surrounded by people that don't understand you, or if you're blue, or if you're blue purple, and there were yellows in the group, and when you could tell they were leading with their yellow energy, their whole lives, their whole careers, yellow energy. So a couple of them, I was like, I saw that they were yellow blue, or I saw one was yellow purple, but she was wearing like inauthentic red. And that's where it gets a little bit like, oh man, I wish I had more time than just like a surface reading with you, because you could tell she was like, what? They needed to understand more. But yeah, sure. On the Facebook page, there's a reason why we're all the same colors.
Right. It's almost like the point where it's like everyone's like, oh, I'm, purple and indigo, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm purple indigo. Wait, I'm purple indigo.
You're like yellow and either purple, indigo, blue.
Right.
Or you're purple with blue, or you're indigo.
Right.
It generally, yes, on that page.
Or you're maybe a green husband that got dragged on the page or something like that.
Yeah, a couple green husbands, a couple red husbands.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I had never seen so many green women.
Oh my gosh.
You say green women?
Yes.
You rarely say that.
And they're great, yeah.
And then we had every sort of green. So there was gamer greens.
There were gamer greens.
All your scientific greens.
The science guy greens, science lady greens, gamer ladies. It was a green conference. I think I slipped up at one point. Because remember you told me? Because I was.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
I was like I was trying to explain greens to people because the second group was less green, but like I was trying to explain greens to people, and I'm like, I don't know, they're like really intelligent houseplants. Like they just like they're very complex, they're beautiful to look at, they're very zen, but that's it. Like you don't get so much communication, and I was like, oh, I hope I didn't insult anybody.
Well, you did tell the woman that her husband was an intelligent houseplant.
I did.
So, I don't know, maybe.
I feel like she agreed with me.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She did agree with you.
She's like, I feel like I'm married to that. But she was the indigo.
Right. So, other than having our Google conference.
That was fun.
We've been kind of bored.
Yeah, it's the pandemic.
We've been really kind of scraping the barrel of, what to watch at night.
Yeah, there's no TV. They're not making anything new.
So some of the shows that we have been watching, we'll go through it.
Yeah.
So we found, from the Miss Michaela Spiritual Family, someone suggested that we watch Amish Hauntings.
Susie suggested this show for us. She said it was the perfect combination of both our interests, the paranormal and the Amish.
Right. So of course we saw Amish Hauntings. We had to check it out.
It's on the Travel Channel.
And I have to say, it was a little bit. I don't know. Would you say nonsense? Seemed kind of silly.
It was so staged. Like, I feel like if you watch it, which, don't bother, it's like if you gave something to a bunch of new film students to create a story about, that's what they did.
Right.
There's no actual Amish people in it.
Okay.
At all. Because, they pretend they're Amish people telling the story, but if you know anything about Amish people, they don't go on camera. And you could just tell, and all their beards were pasted on. That's the other thing.
It was weird because, a couple of them, in the show, had their cell phones out. And I'm the Amish would not have a cell phone. That's just bad editing. They should have got rid of those.
Yeah, they should have, their Apple Watches, all that.
Yeah. I mean, Amish people, we did learn they don't believe in any kind of spirit, ghosts, apparitions.
That was cool. We learned about that.
They only believe you're either in heaven or hell.
Like when you die. You go to heaven or hell.
Right. There was a couple of good tidbits in there.
Yeah.
One guy did use white millet. I was surprised that he had that crystal on him.
Amazing.
When he was hammering, he was making his barn.
Truly amazing.
That was truly amazing. But, that show, I think we're going to only watch the one episode, even though, you love ghosts and I love Amish.
Did it trigger you a little? Did it make you miss your...
Well, I mean...
Your fan club?
Yeah, and I could tell, the guy... Like you said, they weren't really Amish people.
Yeah.
And I can tell, because I've dealt with so many Amish men.
You did it with so many Amish men?
No,
that's what it just sounded like you said. I think you did.
No, I've dealt.
Okay, everybody rewind that.
Yeah, okay. Edit.
We're not editing it.
No, okay. And I think since the last episode, I've had issues with the Amish coming to me at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. But I watched actually the show alone. Now I never do this.
You never watch a show alone.
Yeah, you were taking a nap. You're tired.
Oh yeah.
From your readings, and I decided, what, I'm going to pick out a Netflix show because I know you always watch all the Netflix shows that you like to.
You must have been
watch. And I picked out a show called Speed, and the reason why I picked it out is because it was only 40 minutes long, and there was only one episode.
It's funny that it's a 40-minute documentary.
Yes, it's a 40-minute documentary. One episode is called Speed Cubers.
Okay.
And that's why I picked it, because I didn't, I hate when there's 48 seasons and there's 17 episodes a season.
Netflix, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens in this?
Okay, so basically it's about the world championship of, the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Of people who can do the Rubik's Cube in the fastest time.
Cool.
So they time them doing the Rubik's Cube. And some of these people, the big, the original Rubik's Cube is the highlight of the show. It's the heavyweight championship.
Oh.
Because they have all different Rubik's Cubes.
I didn't know that. No, I knew nothing. I didn't watch this with you.
Yeah, they have 5x5, 7x7,
Oh.
8x8. But the original Rubik's Cube is 3x3. And that is if you win that, you are legendary.
It's hard? It's harder?
Oh, no, that's it's not harder. It's the traditional Rubik's Cube.
Oh, okay.
So if you're the master.
You want to win the original.
Yes.
Okay, cube.
And the thing is, right, so you have all these different cubes. They have a one-handed competition. Can you do it one-handed?
Stop, that's so neat.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And but if you can do the 3x3, the original Rubik's Cube,
yes,
then you get all the accolades and everything.
Oh, wow.
So you can win the Rubik's Cube that has 20x20 and it doesn't matter. But you win the 3x3, You are beloved.
Oh, what do you get if you win?
Like a trophy.
Okay.
Yeah. And you take a guess. Okay, so they mix up the Rubik's Cube. So this is how they do it. They mix up the Rubik's Cube. They have like a cover over it. They pull off the cover, and that's when your time starts. Oh, you get like a couple seconds to look at it, and then your time starts.
Okay.
How many seconds do you think it takes for these people to solve a Rubik's Cube that's all mixed up, and they've just seen it for like 5 seconds?
Well, I figure they're smarter than me in that way. Yeah. So, like, a minute.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what the world record is, but they do it in roughly 6 seconds.
No.
6 seconds.
How?
I don't know. I can't even take my keys out of my pocket in 6 seconds.
There must be like an algorithm. First of all, they must be green.
They have to be.
Are they green people? Could you tell?
I think they are green. Yeah. Some of them do have like autism.
They're on the spectrum.
Yeah, on the spectrum. Stuff like that. But they have
an ability to focus that's beyond like other people's ability to focus.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of the necessary traits to get it done. You just have to focus.
Yeah, and they have like it's like algorithms. So they memorize the algorithms with their hands.
Yeah, the algorithm with their hands.
Yeah. And I think the reigning champion, although he lost, he didn't win. It was like Max Park or something. He was like the champion, this guy Felix, and they're best buddies too.
Aww.
They break each other's records.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
There's like a community within it?
There's a community. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Where does it take place, this championship?
That one took place in Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, yeah. And are there like semi-championships and like things you have to get to lead up to it to qualify for the national or international or whatever this is?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know why I care so much.
Yeah. No, it's really...
I got really interested just now.
It was really fascinating. But it was really cool because it was like Felix and Max. And Felix was like the reigning champion.
Yes.
And then Max kind of broke all of his records. Max is I think severely autistic. And he just, all day long he just does the cube.
That's the other thing we watch. We watch Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Which is like a really, really good show I loved it. You loved it.
That was really good too.
That was so good. That was like so touching.
Very touching, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other day I had to watch, and this one I was like forced to watch. You tied me up.
I did.
And I watched last night the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I know.
And I have to tell you.
Tell me. Red Rant. Red Rant's a coming.
I have to tell you.
Yeah.
I used to watch these shows with you once in a while. I know I watched a few episodes of The Real Housewives of Orange County. And, I kind of laugh and I didn't like it, whatever. But yesterday after watching, I was sick. I think maybe because I've been spiritually awakened. Mm-hmm. This show made my stomach turn.
That would be a sign of feeling negativity.
Yeah. And I've never felt that before.
Wow.
Yeah. These women on that show are it's like horrible. They're like, I don't know, are they horrible human beings? I don't know. They're just so materialistic, so out of touch.
Yeah.
I couldn't even stand to listen to them speak. The way that they, walked into, I think they walked into what? Dolce
and Gabbana.
What's that? Like a high-end...
They were in Rome, Italy last night. And then, they like to do things to show the wealth, which is the show. It's kind of like, how much did she spend? And what car did they drive to get? That is the show. Kind of just ridiculous, just extra-ness. What is that? Just...
I don't know.
Indulgence.
All I know is these ladies were trying on tiaras that were $10,000.
They had the Dolce & Gabbana tiaras.
Right. Everything had a D and a C on it, or a G and a C on it.
It's all branding.
It was really disturbing. Think about it. They're in Rome.
Yes.
Maybe the greatest civilization of all time.
Yeah.
The empire, Roman Empire, right? Roman Republic, birthplace of many laws that we use today and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So much history. And there they are fighting about if one of them's a lesbian or something.
I know. Who cares?
It's so demoralizing.
Well, yeah.
Because people would love to have a trip like that. Mm-hmm. Obviously most people can't afford a trip like that. And if you told someone they were going to Rome, they'd be head over heels.
Yes.
They would enjoy probably every second of it.
Yeah.
And then you got these bunch of spoiled, nasty ladies.
Yeah, talking about whose husband was mean to them or whatever.
Yeah, and then, it was really 3D.
It's very 3D.
And I never felt it before.
Isn't that weird?
No.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't make you watch it often. It just was, you didn't have an opinion. So I'm like, I'll watch my...
Yeah.
It's like eating ships, like, for my brain. I don't know what so I'll watch it just because it's so mindless that I don't think of anything else. And I think it's just, but I get everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
I try not to think so much about it because it's just the way the show is. And basically, like, that's what it's supposed, I think you're getting the energy behind it. Like, if somebody has a platform.
Okay.
Like, I think this is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And maybe you're just trying to articulate it. If somebody has a platform and they're using it to just show off their own ego and to, like, talk to other people's egos.
Yeah.
And trying to say, like, oh, my life's fabulous because I wear this, or my life's fabulous because I have Chanel, fingerless gloves, or, like, whatever.
Yeah, what was that? Let me just go off here. There's one lady.
Let me just go off here.
There's one lady. They're at dinner. She's like handball. Like, when I practice handball team, I'm practicing. I wear a glove.
Yes.
For handball. She's wearing a handball glove that has like 2 C's on it. I think that's Chanel.
Yes.
I don't know.
It is.
Is that Chanel? Okay,
it is.
Whatever. I mean, who wears that to dinner? Like, and the glove probably costs like, $5,000.
Oh yeah. And you're wearing, and then like you're wearing, like annoyed with their jewelry and stuff.
Yeah, and then she's like preaching about nonsense. All right, continue.
No, but yeah, I get what you're saying. And like they have this platform and they're kind of using it. I will say, Erica, for whatever, like, I feel like she's a little better, in my opinion, than the rest of them, because she really talks about being in a place of yes and saying yes to everything and opportunities and stuff like that. Like, I don't mind. I kind of like her, honestly, like, with it. Like, and she's very down to earth.
Right.
I mean, she doesn't look like she is, but I feel like if you met her, she wouldn't judge anybody based on where they're coming from, like, at all. Like, I really don't feel that from her, even though she looks like she would.
Yeah,
and
she
probably
looks like
gets treated like she would a lot. And I feel like in her circle, that's why, like, in the beginning when she started, she said she's not friends with women. Like, this is new for her to be friends with women. Like, she likes to be friends with gay guys, and like, that's it. Like, because she doesn't get along because they don't understand. Because I feel like she gets read wrong a lot. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think if you have a platform like that and you use it just to tell people, like, that their life, isn't as fabulous as yours because you can spend $2,500 on a hat and a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
That's like a wrong place to show people that's where joy comes from.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So that's just what you're picking up.
Yeah. I mean, and then the one lady, which was really disturbing to me, like, the most disturbing part was this one lady, she bought the Dolce.
Yeah, that's the hat, the shoes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Kyle.
they put it in this massive bag.
Yes.
This massive black bag that said Dolce Gabbana, whatever.
Dolce & Gabbana, yeah.
Right, on there. And then she's like so proud that she was going to walk out with that bag so that everybody can see that stupid name on it.
I know.
I mean, that's sick.
I know.
That's crazy.
It's for her. You just felt the ego. Like, yeah.
I would rather walk out with a huge black bag that says Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family on it.
This is my...
Or Know Your Aura, because that's my own. I don't know who this Dolce Gabbana is.
Well, I remember on New York Housewives, they would make fun of Bethany Frankel because she, like, had a car with Skinny Girl. That's her company on it.
Yeah.
And anything she wore had Skinny Girl on it. And they were making fun of her. And she's like, what? That's my...
Yes.
Yeah, like, she said this... Well, she's red. And you're red.
See,
she said the same thing.
Right.
She's like, what? Like, I don't want to wear somebody else's brand. I'll wear my own brand.
Yes. Any day of the week. That is amazing. We have not a lot of Know Your Aura shirts. We got a lot of Miss Michaela Spiritual Family shirts.
If you hang out
always
with
wear
us,
my
we
shirts.
give it to you.
And when I see my kids, I see them in the shirts. The Know Your Aura shirts, or the Spiritual Family shirts. Like, I get so proud of them. Like, it's like such pride.
I know.
Rather than wearing like a Hollister. That's the level we're at here.
Red
But
Rams.
or a polo, like the little horsey on the shirt. Like, I can't even talk right now.
That's our middle class equivalent, by the way, to like what Dolce & Gabbana.
I don't even know. I can't even pronounce these names.
But even when I was like super, if you ever go to like when I was like a college student and I really had no money. Like, if you went into Old Navy, or you went into Arrow, or you went, like, which are very low-end stores, the shirts with their names on it are always, like, for sale. Like, you get a shirt that says Old Navy, or you can get a shirt that says Hollister, or, like, whatever. And it was just always, like, I always noticed they're always on sale, or they're always a little cheaper. I always had an issue buying them, because I'm like, why am I paying to advertise for you know, like that, or whatever. But, brands are a form of tribal identity. Like, and they talk about, actually, Eckhart Tolle talks about this in The Good Earth, or The New Earth. I apologize, The New Earth. And he A New Earth. And I don't have the book in front of me. It's A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle. And he says that, like, when you purchase something like that, you're just buying into an ideal. And then you feel like you've borrowed identity from that ideal, because the ego is tricky that way. Mm-hmm. The ego is very tricky. And if it gives you a sense of worth when you purchase into, like, a brand like that. And all that money is going to is the illusion that you're part of an identity now. And if you think of it that way, it's kind of like, and then that's how, like, you know, as a culture, maybe as like a very base human condition to think that you're worthy now because you're part of this, right. You know, it's more of like a tribal affiliation with, okay, I'm part of the Dolce & Gabbana or Chanel or like, which is very materialistic. Ridiculous. And it's kind of like so you're just feeling all that. And it's heavy and it made you sick. Yeah,
maybe sick. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just happy. I just go, you know, I get my stuff at Target just because it fits well.
I know.
And if it didn't fit well, I go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it happens
Target,
to me.
You do love.
Yeah, they have like this line.
Good threads.
Good threads or something. Good fellows or
good
something. Good fellows. And they just happen to fit me well.
Good fellows.
So that's why I go there. It's not like, you know, because of any symbol they put on it.
Yeah, I like if something fits me well, it works for me.
I can go buy the Dolce Gabbana bag.
Yeah.
And just walk around town with it, not even having anything in it. I'll put my Target clothes in it. And I'll just walk around with the bag. That, you know,
if that makes you feel good.
Yeah, make me feel good.
All right.
But
moving on from the red rant.
All right. Let's talk about this Skillshare you've been doing.
Okay. Many of you have reached out to me since I spoke about Skillshare a few weeks ago. I myself have had an amazing experience with it. I did a class on how to use my iPhone camera better. Now I feel like I'm totally a pro. And I took a class on kind of expounding on your personal narrative, and that was really interesting to me. And a lot of you have reached out saying that you've done different artistic classes and writing classes and whatnot. And they basically offer these classes that are designed for real life and all the circumstances that come with it. I actually did a new class. I did Instagram poetry, create personal visual vignettes for self-expression by Allison Millay. And let me tell you, it was really eye-opening. All these classes are very short. Like, you can do the classes in under an hour in like 2 to 3 minute segments. I love to write. And so this really got me thinking in a new way and new perspectives.
Yeah, I would definitely say I've noticed a change. Like, you do these incredible Instagram posts. They're well-written, well thought out. And I have noticed that they've been a little bit more poetic, a little bit in their and how they're written, and it's really cool. They actually have really been incredible.
Thank you for that. No, and the class like I took was very just eye-opening and shifted my perspective on things, and it was short. And they're very quick. They're very quick moving, and you can do them on your phone. Skillshare has classes to fit your schedule and your skill level. You can take it whenever, and you can be a beginner or intermediate or skilled, and they have classes for you. There are so many classes like art, like my daughter was interested in the calligraphy one. There's ones with making graphics. There's ones with like how to use different technologies for social media. There's everything you can think of. Members get unlimited access to thousands of inspiring classes with hands-on projects from a community of millions. And Skillshare is also incredibly affordable, especially when compared to pricey in-person classes and workshops. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. And right now, during this pandemic, we need to expand our minds. We need to feel like we're growing and learning. And this is the perfect thing for you. And so guess what? You can explore your creativity and get 2 free months of premium membership at Skillshare.com/KYA. That's 2 whole months of unlimited access to thousands of classes for free. Get started and join today by heading to Skillshare.com/KYA. That's 2 free months of unlimited access to thousands of classes at Skillshare.com/KYA.
All right. Let's get into what we're talking about today.
Let's do it. So if you have listened to any of my podcasts about narcissists and empaths, one of the main points really is narcissists will find a way to make anything about themselves, and they're quite spectacular about it. So like getting married, well, too bad. Your narcissist relative just had a meltdown about it. Having a baby, Well, wow. Why didn't you name it after my side of the family? You graduated college? Well, my, oh my, I'm having a heart issue this weekend and I am too sick to make it. And now you look like a huge meanie for celebrating your accomplishment without me. In all of the scenarios when normal people look at the situation, and by normal people, I mean people who don't have narcissists in their lives, they think you're cold and mean and whatever the narcissist really wants you to be seen as so as to elevate themselves. And it's been their form of control over you forever. So now, as the pandemic hangs out and lingers here we go again. Let's see how the narcissist and the toxic people are making it about them. And that's what I really wanted to talk about today, just to touch on how the pandemic has poked the bear with the narcissist, how they've gotten creative about using it for their own devices. Side note, and I talk about this in my Narcissist versus Empath podcast and my Recovering Empath podcast. They're episodes 4 and 6. There's this little thing you have to know about the empath sidekick. They're like empath sidekicks. So like the narcissist has sidekicks, and they're unaware empaths. And what they're actually called flying monkeys, not my term. It's like an actual term. And it's used to describe the narcissist sidekicks. And I add to it that these narcissist sidekicks are actually unaware empaths, which means like they're empaths, but they don't really know it. I talk about that a lot in the Recovering Empath. I talk about that a lot in Narcissists versus Empaths. So if you want to check that out to get a more in-depth understanding about that, you can. But anyway, so what are flying monkeys? Think of The Wizard of Oz, the movie, and the Wicked Witch. She always made her monkeys do all the dirty work. And narcissists have, flying monkeys to do just that. So flying monkeys are the empaths, the unaware ones, who are in an empath trap. Narcissists know that unaware empaths crave attention, validation, love, and a feeling that basically they're healing or in the process of healing or trying to heal a super impossible person. And feeling like they are the chosen one to someone who is like super complicated. So the narcissist will basically create this empath trap to seduce them with praise. So it's like the perfect storm for an empath, like somebody who's so hurt, and like anything you do is like over the top at first. Like, oh my God, you cooked for me. Nobody cooks for me. Oh my gosh, you did this. Oh my God, what would I do without you? It's like over the top. And then over time it becomes like, you can't do anything right. So they get you kind of addicted to the praise, and then they slowly take it away from you. And then you're just like, oh, I just have to get back to that. I just have to get back to that point again with them where I'm lovable again with them. And it's super subconscious, and it's a mind screw, which is why when you're an aware empath, you don't fall for it anymore. But listen, we've all been there. So anyway, so yeah, they create this trap to seduce you with praise. Oh, I couldn't do XYZ ever without you, and on and on and on. And they start to kind of show how they've been hurt and wounded by these other people in their lives. So like, so-and-so so mean to me, and my boss or my ex or my daughter or whatever. And they complain about this to the empath sidekicks. And to make it all better, the empath sidekicks all of a sudden take up the narcissist's cause and defend them. And they'll go after these people. They'll go after the people that the narcissist says are so mean. And that's why if you deal with a narcissist, you probably have flying monkeys coming at you too. So it's not just the narcissist you have to deal with, it's all their little soldiers or their flying monkeys too. It's a whole narrative they feed. That's when the unaware empaths become flying monkeys. So it's not only, like I said, and the thing is like with the flying monkeys is the narcissist kind of wants you to project your anger on them. Like, can you believe she said that to me? Oh my gosh. And, and the narcissist is like, oh, I know, seriously. Like, they'll throw anybody under the bus. I don't think that they have like this loyalty to the flying monkeys. Like, anybody to just, project anything onto that's negative and be like, oh, I know. And they'll flip the script. Like, I know, this flying monkey, they totally did this to me too. So it's just a game. And it's funny. Once you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious. So at some point in your life, it's quite possible you yourself have been a flying monkey. It's okay. You can own it. I have too. When you are at the starting point in what I call the recovering empath cycle, you are unaware. Most empaths tend to stay there. That's why I try to focus so much in this podcast and in my readings to get empaths to the next step. Because when you're unaware, that's when you're the most manipulated. That's why I see a whole generation of parenting Not everybody, but the people I talk to, they're raising their kids differently than how we were raised as empaths. It's like, you have a gift. You have a superpower. You can feel what other people are feeling. Don't get manipulated by it. Like it's a different way to raise kids, and we're all working on it together now to make a different generation of proud empaths. But anyways, I remember so many times when I was a flying monkey. So this is where, my vulnerable moments, and there's been many of them. And when you go back and you kind of think about it, you can call it immaturity in your life, or it can just feel embarrassing, or you can feel foolish or even mad at yourself. But the point is, it's personal responsibility is necessary. And it's necessary to go back and see it, because taking that personal responsibility is a huge part of recovering as an empath. In any case, I remember once when I was in my undergrad, my final year, undergrad, my bachelor's, Spanish education, and I had this best friend who was very narcissistic. And if you were in school at any point, I kind of like the further you go on in your major, the smaller the crew gets. So we were in every class together. We were very close. And of course, but she was very narcissistic looking back. I see it now. And of course, she was my bestie because, I love the narcissists because you don't do what's good for you. You do what's familiar. And, narcissists are our besties for a while. That's how we roll. It happens. That's the empath thing. It's what we do. We try to get over it. But in any case, so we were in this small department because it was the last semester of undergrad in the Spanish education department. Not too many Spanish teachers in the world. There really aren't a lot of us. And we were about to be placed for student teaching. And you don't know where you're going to go. It's like 16 weeks of your life. And they split it in half. One placement somewhere, another placement somewhere. You don't know where you're going to go. It's like very stressful for whatever reason. So I remember being very stressed out about it. So much stress, so much anxiety. And this friend of mine, she had all these qualities of a narcissist. Looking back, it's like obvious to me. There was just always this like narrative of victimization. So like she had these like crazy things happen to her. I was never present for them, but I always like heard about them. Of course I believed them, right? She had all these crazy things happen to her, which were just so out of the ordinary and mean. Like her ex was super nasty all the time, and her parents, they were so mean, and her siblings so awful, and ex-best friends attacking her, and everybody's so mean. But the story never added up. And looking back, I realized I just went with it because I wanted her to be my friend. But I can see it clearly now, and the red flags don't escape me now with people in my life. So I took the lesson and I used it. And at the end of our relationship, she started doing this to me too. I was, in the empath trap, and then slowly and suddenly I always offended her somehow. But she was doing this narrative with our Spanish department, our small department. And you could really screw yourself over if you went up against this small department because they're small, and like Buffalo's a small town, and you don't want to like make a bad name for yourself or reputation if you really want to get into a good school district, and all that. When I'm thinking professionally, like a Spanish teacher, but she kept saying how mean they were to her, and how this one professor in particular, she told me, that he called her in to specifically tell her that she sucked at Spanish. He was embarrassed to have her represent the program out in the student teaching contexts. And when she told me that, I was so hurt for her. I was so upset. I couldn't believe they did that to my poor, sad friend who had so many awful things already happening to her, like all the time. That didn't make sense, but still. So I took it upon myself to go talk about this so-called awful department head to the co-department head and complain about his teachings and how he was spiteful and how I felt he was so cruel to my friend, and I was scared he would be cruel to me too, and that she should really look into this. And of course, it was all made up. And what am I, like 20, 22 at the time? And none of this actually happened. And I looked absolutely nuts, and I looked crazy, and I looked like her. Like, I looked awful. And then she, of course, because she made it up and never wanted to admit it, got mad at me for going in and sticking up for her, calling me all sorts of names and saying I was the enemy of her family and siblings and whatnot. Everybody hated me. It was a huge mess. And like the other students were like, oh my God, why'd you do that? Like, and it added to all my stress about graduating on time and getting put in decent placements for student teaching with good mentor teachers. It all worked out, but I felt like I was nuts. I felt crazy. And now I know that I was, gaslighted. That's gaslighting. But I also needed to take responsibility. And I do, and I did. Who was I to complain about a teacher who had done nothing wrong to me, who was just doing his job and was obviously not the favorite of this narcissist and was being set up by her. And yeah, I was played, but also I didn't have a nice intent doing that. Like, that wasn't right of me to do that. I got played, and there's a certain responsibility that you have to take as a flying monkey, that you're like, oh my gosh, like, I want her praise was more important to me than anything. So I wanted her praise by sticking up for her. And, it took me a long time to look at those qualities in myself and not feel completely pathetic and awful and hate myself for it. Now I see that, listen, I was programmed to be this unaware empath, and why wouldn't I find people who repeated that pattern in my life over and over and over again? Why wouldn't I? I hadn't learned better yet. So I learned from that. And, this guy was just trying to do his job, and I felt really bad. And it's just a small example of being kind of pulled in as the flying monkey, but it did teach me a ton in life. And now I know a lot of flying monkey symptoms because of that. And I learned, and I grew, and it was like a catalyst for me. And I ended up apologizing to him years later because we keep in touch on social media, and he didn't even know what I was talking about, but still, you know what I mean? It was important for me to do that. And, it was a real eye-opener for me in the empath thing. Like, hey, wait a second. This is like a pattern. So I just wanted to share that with you to get your mind jogging about maybe when that's happened to you, because it's important. Moving on. So on to the pandemic. I do a lot of readings, and in this pandemic, I have seen it has really brought out the worst in narcissists and generally toxic people and their flying monkey cohorts. And the more peaceful, zen, and chill you are about this whole situation, the more they see you as a target. So depending on your aura color, you have kind of a conflict style. And I'll go through these conflict styles with each aura color. But to generalize, a lot of us empaths try to go invisible, which works, but you sacrifice a lot when you do it. You sacrifice the ability to be yourself authentically 100%. So it's something to notice during a time like this when narcissists and toxic people and their flying monkey cohorts literally have no attention. Like, these narcissists, they're struggling people. We have to worry about them. They have no attention. The virus is taking it all away from them, and they're trying to get anything they can out of this, trying to spin this pandemic. Okay. I want to talk about some examples of pandemic toxicity, toxic moments. There's so many. So I just pulled these. I pulled a few from my readings recently. But I'll make them as generalization as hypotheticals, because this has happened, and these are real instances, but there's some. See, narcissists are very creative. They can take any situation and make it about them. So these are pandemic sensitive situations. So let's say you can't make listen, I can't take the family vacation this year. Okay. So maybe that's one of your things. Your state's locked down. I'd have to self-quarantine for 14 days in some hotel before I even saw you. That's not feasible. I can't do it. Also, I'm scared to drive, through all these states to get to you, or fly, or whatever. I can't. There's a pandemic. I can't make it. And the head narcissist is for sure sending out the monkeys, those flying monkeys and the other family toxics to come after you. And yeah, these may be friends and cohorts of the narcissist hearing all sorts of horrific things about you. And it's true, when they can't control you, they control how others see you. So that's one. Maybe I can't make the wedding. I can't make the event. I can't make the vacation. I can't come visit you. Oh, that's it. You're screwed. Or flip side, I don't want you here, okay? I don't want you flying and then me picking you up and you staying in my house with my kid. Either way, they take it to the next level. They're not being rational. It's all about them. So maybe the narcissist, and it works both ways, decides to still have their wedding /shower /birthday party /whatever. They're like, this is still on, okay? And not only is it still on, you're flipping ugly if you wear a mask. Don't wear a mask in my photos, okay? This is real, and this is a real narcissist story. And don't wear masks in my photos. I don't want to see any of my guests wearing masks for my... And if you don't come, we're done. We're over. Black. Boundary. We're over. You're done with me. All right, this was a real situation. Somebody had to decide whether they were going to the wedding or not, because somebody said, if you don't come. And if you come and you wear a mask, like, we're done. I mean, okay. Anyways, so yeah, like, that's, you know, they're just coming against you. That's like an impossible ask. And the people showing up either like aren't nervous about things, which is their right. Like, okay, you're not nervous about the pandemic. Okay, go, whatever. But like, some people are. And if you don't respect that and you take it personal, like, as like that's about you, super toxic. Birthdays. Did you guys have anybody have the quarantine birthday? I did. Okay. I sat around all day. It's fine. I got taken. Totally cool. Why? Because I'm not a narcissist. But a lot of narcissists had quarantine birthdays, and man, how dare you not make a big deal for me? A normal person understands the quarantine birthday was lame and kind of quiet and nothing happened. But the narcissist feels lonely, unloved, and takes it personal. Risk your life to show me you care. So, I mean, any sort of milestone event you could use for this, a graduation, an anniversary, etc. Or you could even flip the party thing around, because like one person I was talking to, like, she wasn't going to have a bris, if you know what that is. Like, Jewish people, they, when their child's born, they do the circumcision. It's like a religious ceremony. And one of my clients, she's like, I'm too nervous to do the bris. Like, so she wasn't going to invite people to her house. Like, she didn't want to do it. Like, she's a newborn. Okay. Well, man, her in-laws freaked out. Her mother-in-law, like, made that all about herself. And it was like in the throes of it, the quarantine situation. And she's a new mother. And it's like, you know, so it was, and it's not like it's the first time this woman freaked out on her, but then the whole family went against her too. So, I mean, these things, notice it. And then it's funny because you always feel like the worst person in the world after. Like, you'll know, like, am I wrong? You question yourself. That's when you know you've been, like, attacked. I've seen a lot of siblings turning on one another with who's taking care of, like, mom or dad or the elderly parents or whatever. A lot of finger pointing about who did more and who did less. And you'll notice that the head narcissist is the one decreeing exactly, like, who gets a gold star here and who does not. And of course, they usually, in fact, always have their sidekicks to support them in numbers, so that the one on the outs doesn't get any say or power to defend themselves. And oftentimes, the one, like, if you're the one being attacked, you feel completely isolated and alone. And that's on purpose. The other thing with narcissists is, like, they'll go talk to people in your own life that have nothing to do with them just to get them on your side. Like, if you have a best friend, all of a sudden the narcissist is talking to your best friend. Or, you know, it's weird. Like, the whole point is to try to isolate you. So, and be the most popular, the most favorite, the most whatever, so that they get all the people on your side on their side. So you just keep looking crazy. Like, there's nobody you can turn to in your life that believes you. That's a tactic. Now, if you're living, I have to bring this up. I wasn't going to make this the focus because this is a whole separate thing. But if you're living with a narcissist and you kind of have to come to terms with that because it's like been a 24/7 situation now, it's just bad all around. Someone is always, with a narcissistic person, somebody always needs to be, like, adulating them at all times, like worshiping them. And somebody's always needing to be victimizing them. And the flying monkeys, or the unaware empaths in the narcissist lives, they're juggling. Their whole purpose is to always figuring out, okay, who's going to be the perpetrator of the victimizing? Otherwise, it's going to be them. If the flying monkeys are truly scared of the narcissist because they don't want to be the one who gets the finger pointed at, if that makes sense. So that's really the fear. I said a while ago that one of the unaware empaths' superpower is invisibility. Because when you are invisible to the narcissist, you don't get that focused negative attention. And usually this happens early on in your life. And you have a pattern of invisibility then. And then you go out in the world and you wonder why doesn't anybody notice me? Why don't I get hit on? Why don't jobs land in my lap? It's because you took invisibility to the next level, and it was a survival tactic for you. And now it's something that you have to unlearn. And it's extremely stressful to unlearn something your mind taught you was survival. And that's why confrontation is extremely stressful to empaths. Because you learned that if you're invisible, they can't do anything to you. And And it's hard to unlearn something like that. That's so ingrained in your head is like, okay, I won't survive unless I'm invisible. It's not worth even being loved or being special or unique because the risk is being unloved, unspecial, and villainized. So I'm just going to stay completely neutral, completely invisible. And then you have to unlearn that. It's difficult. So every aura does have a conflict style. And depending on your combination, you may have two of these, which you use interchangeably or one over the other, depending. So keep that in mind. And like I said, I'll go into the intricacies of each one. But empaths, which are your blues, indigos, your purples, generally, and your turquoises, generally have a very low energy, like invisibility tactic, but we'll talk about it more in depth. So reds, we'll start with reds. Reds are more logical about it. They can also get like super fired up. So when attacked by anybody, honestly, a red does not back down. If they believe what they're saying to be true, they will feel really passionate about it. And if they get accused of something, forget about it. They're done with it. They don't go down quietly either. They will do the red rant, the red aura rant, go on and on. They won't stop. They will go on and on and on because of this. And narcissists and flying monkeys usually honestly don't bother with red people. They don't. They just don't. They still try. But it's usually just super not worth it. It's kind of like why cheetahs don't go after lions. It's like, this isn't worth it. You know, like, I'm probably not going to win. It's like, it's not worth it. Why? Because red people generally do not give a crap what anyone thinks about them as long as they truly believe themselves that they are correct. It's a great quality to have. I wish I had that. Like, I think that's awesome. And I think, like, when we see red people, we're like, wow, that's cool. You know, like, wow, you have armor that doesn't go down and is authentic to you. So anyways, that's a red people. So they don't usually get bothered too much because they'll just go off. They don't care. Blue people. Okay, well, blues have a hard time feeling correct in any scenario because they can see and they can feel all the sides, all the perceptions. So they end up being the peacemakers, usually in families. So when attacked by the flying monkeys and by the head narcissist and other people who came on board to the narcissist's camp, they tend to fold. They can bend and they can give in. They can be pleasers. So their conflict style is basically to stay under the covers, under the radar. And if they get called out, they just kind of go with it. Depending on where the blue person is in their own recovering empath process, they will either like fold under the pressure, or if they're further along, they'll stand up for themselves, but will suffer greatly with the anxiety and the stress and the overall sadness of being attacked. I see so many blue people having significant others and friends around them to lean on so as to let them know that they're not wrong and to encourage them to put up a boundary. So that's blue people. It's hard. You know, they try to make peace. Yellows. When yellows are attacked, yellows tend to find solutions. They ask questions. They mediate. They don't mind debate. They kind of look at all the options to make sure they're seeing everything clearly. Let me understand what you're saying. Let me see if I have that right, what you just said to me. Let me re-explain that to you. I love yellow people. Let me ask 20 questions about this. They look at the numbers, you know, they're checking the COVID rates in the area of the wedding. They were told they were forced to go or else they're unlovable. You know, they'll make choices based on facts. And when they see that it's nonsense to do something just because their name will get dragged in the mud, then they'll go on the counterattack. Yellows are very diplomatic. They don't attack, really. They just also don't back down so much. They will be the loudest voice in the room, giving information that is impartial, that will appeal to everyone as to why this is not a personal thing that's being done to the head narcissist in order to victimize them. And because of this, narcissists particularly hate yellow people. They really do. Although they will go against them, they aren't as easy of a target. Yellow people do tend to get, like, the problem with the yellows is that if you're kind of like, usually, well, this is, how do I explain this? Depending on what your other color is when you're yellow, and yellow people do have a tendency, if they're imbalanced, to do this thing where if somebody explains something to you in a certain way, then you'll feel like you have to go along with it, even if it doesn't feel right. So yellow people can kind of be like, oh, you just said everything. You out-logicked me. So I guess I have to do it now. That's the issue with yellow people. Like when they get more comfortable in themselves and they don't fall for that, but sometimes their ego can hijack their yellow and be like, now you see, here's all the reasons why you should. And even though it doesn't feel right, don't notice that and do it anyhow. That's where yellows get tripped up. But for the most part, they're not as much of a target from the narcissist, but when they are, it's because the narcissist can out-logic them. And if they're not as balanced, they can fall for it. So that's what yellows have to be careful of. I talk about that in Throwing Shade in Aura Color. I talk about how some yellows have the I told you so yellow shade. It's kind of like a darker yellow color. And it's just because when they see the world a certain way, it's like nobody else's opinion can change it or whatever. So you have to be careful of that when you're yellow. Purples. Purples are used to the purple shaming. What is that? I talk about this here and there, but purple shaming is the act of society against purples by basically calling them attention seekers. So purples are super afraid, usually, especially if they come from a narcissistic background where they were raised by somebody in this way. They're super afraid to sparkle and shine. And now they're ashamed of it. And they take on any attack on their specialness or uniqueness that they will constantly try to dim it and get super defensive when attacked on it. So narcissists love to use this when going after the purple, making them the perfect people to project on. You don't want to come to my baby shower because you're jealous, for example. Or you are having this party on purpose because you need attention. Wow. Putting the health of others at risk for your own ego. Or flip that around. You aren't having this event because you're scared of giving up any spotlight. You just control everything. You always want to be the center of attention. I love how narcissists will tell you exactly what they're feeling by telling you what you're feeling. But anything they accuse you of, it's them. Just notice that. Anyways, purples need to learn what purple shaming is so as to not fall for it. The best thing to do sometimes in a narcissist attack is just let them see it the way just see, all right, you're right, man. Okay, if you think that, then you can be correct. I don't care. And purples generally have this ability naturally to truly not care. So leaning into that is the purple superpower. Like if you're purple, you can really just sit back and be like, hey, wait a second. Like I really don't actually care. Like if you can just like, oh my God, it's like, it's freedom. It's like, I know they're pissed and I know they see things this way and that they're going to drag my name through the mud, but man, I don't care. If you can lean into that, you're good as gold. That's the purple thing. The purples can get tripped up if they care or they think they should care because of purple shaming. But if they let all that go, it's like, yeah, that's how I feel. Whatever. Call me center of attention. Cool. Whatever you say. I don't care. Then you're good. Narcissists can't get you. Green people. The greens don't notice or care. The end. Just kidding, but not. Greens have this thing where they will not defend themselves. Like, you think I don't know, fill in the blank. Anything? All right. So they'll disappear during a narcissist attack. Usually green people just honestly just fade off the grid. Like green people in families with a narcissist, it's like, where'd that person go? Like they just disappear. And then the narcissist never bothers to attack them because it's like fighting with a piece of furniture or something. Like it's like a narcissist having a fight with like the chair. Like you're not going to get anything out of it either way, so it's no fun. So usually they just like kind of leave them be. Don't use them. Indigos, man, I did the whole episode about that a few episodes ago, how indigos deal with confrontation. And it's a lot of passes. It's like, for any behavior, it's like pass, 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 pass. And then one day it's door slam. We're done. So it's kind of the same deal with family pandemic drama. A lot of passes. And then if it's just too much at some point, they get the door slam. I had a reading recently with a lovely woman who was an indigo, and she was basically used her whole life by her brothers as a dumping ground for their insecurities, and then they stole her inheritance when she was like the one doing everything. I mean everything for their sick mother. And she was left with like nothing. And in true indigo fashion, she wasn't as mad as she was sad. And in true indigo fashion, she wanted to know if it was mean not to continue a relationship with them during this pandemic and whatnot. So Spirit's answer to that. But, the thing of it is this pandemic will bring a lot of indigos to their door slam points. The parts of themselves which have been giving the passes will be depleted, and they're going to end up moving on. And I see this happening a lot in this pandemic with narcissists. man, they love those indigos, but they also know that they will have their breaking points. And when a narcissist gets a door slam, the narcissist will continue to drag that indigo's name through the mud, and not giving that any attention or energy or anything is work. Because that's the only lasting thing the narcissist can get after a door slam from an indigo. It's like, oh my God, maybe if I do this, maybe if I talk to her boss, maybe if I call her neighbor, maybe if I call her daughter, like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, she just called my daughter? Like what? She's messaging my boss? Yeah, they'll do that. They want a reaction from you after a door slam. That's how they win. Narcissists can't, they're kind of like, it's like a parasite. Like they can't survive off the body. They can't survive without attention. So if you just put that in your head and you understand, like, listen, if I give them nothing, eventually they will go away. Trust me, they will. They need to move on to greener pastures. If you're not giving them anything, they will not waste time on you because they love their time. Their time's worth so much more than proving you wrong, even if you're not doing anything about it. So once you give a door slam from an indigo, really just suck it up. All the retaliation, trust me, it'll end eventually. A special note on social media and the narcissist. Ooh, this could be a whole episode. So they use it for their toxic purposes, obviously. And the pandemic has them on overdrive. They got a lot of time with their phones. They're using it super creative. And you have to, be on the alert. I should do a post about this in the Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family. I don't know if that, we'd have to do it with a funny edge. Otherwise it would be way too depressing and draining. But here's some ways that they use it. So this is how they use social media in the following ways. Just some examples. 1, to make themselves the center of attention. They might even list like the symptoms they have that are super similar to COVID. And you're just like, are you just announcing on Facebook that you have like COVID symptoms? And like, what are we all supposed to do? Like give you like a lot of attention now? Like, what is that? It's not. And that sounds mean, but if you've lived with a narcissist, this is the crap they do. Like when you have an event, all of a sudden they have like a health issue. Like, I'm not kidding. And then if you go say that to somebody like, whoa, you're cold. And it's like, you don't understand. It's been my whole life, dude. And like, if you can't talk to people that don't understand narcissists because they'll think that you're like evil. That's why any of us that have had relationships with narcissists, we've learned to keep our mouths shut because we just assume nobody believes us. Like, whatever. No, you're not going to believe me anyways, so we just have to go with it. But anyways, so one example, they make themselves the center of attention on, Facebook or whatever. And it's not the first time they've done this. So it's not like this is like an isolated event. They do this often, but I'm just making it pandemic related. So anyways, they can also use social media just generally to talk about how they're victimized by something. Like, I don't know, masks. People are going crazy, like guys with the masks. Okay. Like, I'm not saying just narcissists are complaining about them, but I am saying that if you are narcissistic, it can be like an extra thing either way. Like either they're pissed off that people are wearing them or pissed off that people aren't. But like the narcissist just takes a little overboard and they make it particularly about themselves. So just notice that. I'm just trying to make it pandemic related on social media. They love to triangulate too on social media by bringing up another person in their life to like, I don't give a compliment to, but at the same time they shame somebody else. So what does that look like? It can look like, oh, I'm so happy I have Susan in my life, she's been a true daughter to me. And like that's like your mom writing it. You're like, huh, is this about me? So like, that's kind of like, they love to be subtle that way a little bit. And everyone's commenting on it like, oh my gosh, where is your daughter anyways? Stuff like that. Like it's, your friends and things will notice it, but like most people don't. So I just wanted to talk about that. Another way you'll see all narcissists, acting out these days. And it's something you may notice. And I wanted to briefly bring up the social media thing. So I hope this little spiel here helped even a little bit as we move forward. And, as this pandemic life kind of continues, it's going to be wavy ups and downs. and, of what we can and cannot do. And it's going to trigger these narcissistic people in our lives. And they may not like us talking about the virus more than them. Like I said, it's going to upset them. And as empaths, many of us basically have to see where they can attack and get on us, where their flying monkeys can come after us, and how there are a few things we need to understand about ourselves so we can have boundaries and mitigate this damage. I really feel one of the reasons for this pandemic, and I talked about this on an episode, I talked about it on the Fifth Dimension episode, is to raise our vibrations, to spiritually awaken and to grow more than we ever have before. And we are more faced with the things we try to avoid more than ever. We are faced head on with confrontational, toxic people, just like empaths do not like. And we can't avoid it. And it's something that's going to make us, instead of invisible, be empowered. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable as anything to do this because change is weird feeling. It's uncomfortable and it makes you have panic and anxiety and stress. But that is kind of the thing that happens when the ego gets challenged. I wanted to reach out to you all and talk about how, narcissists and toxic people and their flying monkeys deal with this time in particular, because I don't want you to feel alone. And I don't want you to feel crazy. And I don't want you to feel like this bad person. Love isn't complicated, okay? If someone is making love complicated in any relationship, it's not love. It's something else. There are things that, yes, we do need to take responsibility for. If someone has an issue with us, yes, we do need to hear them out. We do need to open our minds. We do need to learn. That's good to learn. But a narcissist does not have this, once in a while issue with us. It is constant. It is never ending. It is all of the time. It's walking on eggshells. And there's a line there. And they want you to think it's always you and it's never them. And it's so important that you don't feel alone right now if you're dealing with this. And you're not. And in the most uncheesy way possible, I really want you to know that I am here for you. And I hear you and I see you and I understand this process. And I understand that you are a beautiful soul worthy of unconditional love. And that love isn't anywhere else outside of you. It's already inside of you, like it always has been, because you are from that love, and that love is you eternally. And I want you to feel that today, if nothing else. Hey, Scotty.
Wow, so that was intense, but I think it's going to help a lot of people. There's probably a lot of people going through that right now. I know a lot of empaths listen to this, and I think they'll get a real lot out of that.
What's your conflict style with the narcissist, Scott?
My conflict style with the narcissist?
Yeah.
I don't deal with narcissists. I try not to deal with them. Try to put it on the back burner, I guess. But, all right, so that was really intense. So let's go back into the 3D.
Let's go.
Because we started in the 3D with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And you were definitely 4 or 5D there. That was, or 25D. I don't know.
It was a lot.
Way over my head. But let's go back to things that I can actually talk about.
You get it.
No, you're 100 times smarter than I am.
I don't think so.
95 times smarter. But let's go back to the 3D. And the new bachelorette was supposed to be Clarice.
Right.
And
Claire.
Okay. So
right.
The new bachelorette, Carol, and she's pink, right?
Yeah, she's pink and yellow, which is very, unusual. It's funny because they picked like a 38-year-old. Maybe she's 39 now. It's my age. Okay. So you'd think you stick her with, if you stuck me with 30 men to choose from, I'm going to send, at this point in my life, probably 28 of them home. Right. The first night. So, I know my own mind.
So basically you're going to leave Dr. Pole.
Yes. And you.
Me, and possibly Jeff Goldblum.
Right.
The guy from Jurassic Park.
Those are my 3 keepers.
Right.
And then from those 3, maybe it's getting a little harder. But so they wanted somebody more, who knew her own mind. But they picked a pink person. Pink people, and I did a post about this, they're just perpetual, they have a perpetual childlike innocence, and they have this Disney princess vibe, and it's true love exists. And you put her in this context, she fell in love. She fell in love quick. And, if you don't want spoilers, don't keep listening, just end it now.
Right.
Because everything I'm talking about is kind of on the news anyways, or like if you watch anything, it's hard to avoid. They replaced her. They replaced her with another bachelorette. And I feel like for Clare, you know, before we get into her, I feel like with Clare, she's acting exactly like other Pink people act. So if you think about other Pink people, that's like Britney Spears. Like she was married, remember, like 24 hours. You know, she got married in Vegas. It was like, or Kim Kardashian, she was married to that one guy. It was like this crazy expensive wedding, but the marriage lasted like, I don't even know how long, a month. How long? I don't remember. But Pink, or Anna Nicole Smith, she was Pink. Pink people, Marilyn Monroe was Pink. Pink people make choices very quickly. Okay. Like kids in a lot of ways, and they fall quick into it, the fairy tale of it, the romance, and they're very much like children. Like if you tell them no, you're going to get a temper tantrum. Like absolutely not. And I feel like that's what happened with her. She's 30, whatever, like her 38, 39. So she knows her, like, this is what I want. This is working for me. So I applaud her.
Now, I have a couple theories that I want to run by you that may be why she also quit.
Okay.
All right. So there's two I have. These are the big two. So Clarice quitting. Do you think possibly Caroline had an astral sex partner?
Oh, my.
And that is the reason why she had to get out of there?
Well, rumor has it that her and this other guy were talking because he was one of the first known contestants that was chosen. Now, remember, she was supposed to be done filming months and months ago. So this guy was already, so rumor has it they had like an online relationship, and maybe they had an astral one too.
Interesting.
But when I looked at his picture, I think his name is Dal. Like he's purple and blue, and he feels very, very sweet. And I feel like I can see, and when I can't wait till pictures come out of them together, because I feel like I would confirm that relationship like with my psychicness, because I do feel like they just were in love, and they came into this and it was just like, I can't deal with other people. Like Pinks can be very, they're like, yeah, like the Disney princess thing. Like, that's it. You're my Prince Charming. Wow. I can't pretend with other people. Even though there's a show and I signed a contract and they, money, like, doesn't matter.
My other theory was, do you think possibly Candace got pregnant by Dale?
Oh my God. That's I have to see a recent picture of her.
Right. And then, like they don't want to have, like, as the season's going on, her showing her, baby bump.
Oh my God.
So, like, I don't know how long it takes to film The Bachelor. It could be like 3 weeks or not 3 weeks, 3 months. And they could have, like, she starts getting pregnant through it.
What a twist.
That would be.
I like them together. Again, I have to see a picture of them, like, recent, because I can only ever see Dale's pictures from stock photos, and I hate those. But he seems like a very sweet, sensitive guy, and wants to, give this to her. So that totally makes a lot of sense, actually, because Pink people will get pregnant quick.
Yeah.
Because it's part of it.
Now,
like, quick decisions. Let's get into this. Let's throw ourselves at it.
I'm gonna add a third theory.
Ooh.
One night, what's her name?
Who?
The Bachelorette?
Claire?
Claire? Okay, Claire.
Yeah.
Okay. So one night, Claire was, really pink, showing off all her pink.
Yes.
She was at the bar, the whatever they have there.
Yes.
The bartender was that guy that they always use from Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, yeah. Man, I totally forget his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I think I forgot his name too. But and then Chris Harrison came by, and sparks flew, and she had a relation with Chris Harrison.
Oh my God.
And ABC had a...
Chris Harrison is too green and purple to ever mess up his perfect job by doing something like that. He just wouldn't do it. Nothing's more important than the best job in the world that he has.
Okay, so that theory's out. All right.
So tell us what happened from the Mystic Michaela spiritual family, Scott, this weekend.
Anyway, so let's just close it up with this, a nice special, good feeling, good vibe note. We had a meditation, the Recovering Empath meditation. Many of the spiritual family bought the meditation. We then took part of the proceeds from the meditation, and we wanted to give it back. So we basically brought donuts and coffee and all sorts of treats to our favorite Publix here in Boynton Beach. We got at least, I think, hopefully I bought enough donuts for at least every
Publix
employee.
is a grocery store.
Yes. And a lot of my friends go there. We know from the Christmas episode.
Yes.
Work there, sorry. And we brought them, all these donuts. They were so appreciative. We see them as our essential workers.
Yes.
They're out there every day working hard under this hard time.
Yes.
And we wanted to recognize them, give back. And they were so appreciative and grateful.
They're such hard workers. And they work hard to make the place so clean and so accessible and so welcoming when we go there during such a scary time.
Yes.
And I feel like they were just so happy that somebody cared.
They were. And
it was nice.
And it's all because of the Miss Michaela Spiritual Family. They were the real heroes here.
Yes.
We just implemented it.
Yep.
But they were the ones that...
Yeah, you guys did it. So thank you so much. And take care, guys. Can't wait to interact with you more about all these topics over at the Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family page on Facebook.